Good morning, Mrs. Dorman students. This is Mr. Dorman from behind the camera. Just wanted to give you a brief overview of what Pi Day is like over here at Computech Middle School in my classroom. Here's some of my Pi-related items. These are actually going to be Pi ice cubes that I'll be making pretty soon here. This is an actual pie cutter, like for pizza, but it's got the blades on the bottom here, and so it can actually cut pizza pie. Over here is my pie plate. It's one of my oldest pieces, and it actually has the numbers of pi going all the way around. Brand new to this year is these little pie pins, which I'll probably give Mrs. Dorman, and she can probably wear it tomorrow just to kind of say that yes, I'm really real and I'm not just a cartoon. Over here is my pie tie, which I usually wear a lot of times on Mondays. Up here, I have different pie-related things. This is one thing that has the big thing of pi, and this is from last year actually, so has all the digits. This morning, a student of mine is going to attempt to memorize and recite over 200 digits. The current record so far was 197, set 2 years ago. Last year, a 7th grader memorized 186 digits, but he says he has 220 memorized, so we'll see if he can break 200 for the first time. So Pi Day came about because the number pi, 3.14, is basically just a circle's circumference, which is the distance around a circle, divided by its diameter. Technically, you can't really find that to an exactness, but what the Greeks and Egyptians and Babylonians and everybody else kind of figured out a long time ago, they knew there was a certain ratio that made it pretty easy to figure out. So if they knew a circle's radius, which is halfway across the circle, they figured out that they could then find the distance around it by multiplying by a certain number. And what's unique about that is that it doesn't matter how big the circle, that number or that ratio is always the same. It's always going to be about 3.14. And the reason that pi goes on forever and ever, because it does, as Mrs. Dorman is going to show you a little bit, by finding your birthday and your phone numbers in pi. It's only because the number is so random and it goes on so long. But the reason that we can find it is because that it goes on forever is just simply because it's not an exact number, because it's always the same, but yet it's always changing. In other words, no matter how big the circle, so if the circle is this big, you multiply it by the same number by about 3, it's going to be the same. And then if the radius goes to this big, if the radius goes to this big, the radius goes to this big. It's not an exact number because technically a circle has no beginning and no end either, and so in a way that's also why that pi has no beginning or end, is because we can't really say, okay, it definitely ends here or starts here, as opposed to like a square or something, when we know, a square kind of comes up and goes over and down and around, okay, but a circle just kind of goes forever and ever, and always around like that. So anyway, Pi Day, March 14th, it's called that because the first few letters of pi, or numbers of pi, are 3.14. And today is March 14th, and March is the 3rd month, so it's 3.14. So, happy Pi Day, happy memorizing, and I'll see you soon.